Everybody, welcome back. This is some fresh Am I the A-hole wedding drama. I just can't wait to show you. I just can't wait. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my stepsister who bullied me to my wedding? Go on. All rise for the Honorable Judge Charlotte. Sit down, I won't have any insolence in my courtroom. My father remarried when I, 25 female, was 14. His wife Mary, 49 female, and his stepdaughter Kyla, 26 female,
were hell
in my life. My father is wealthy, so we used to go to a fancy school. Kyla was really mean to me, and I had a hard time to the point that I had to move to another school because I couldn't take it anymore. Why didn't she move to the other school? Once she convinced my father and Mary that I was pregnant. What the actual Oh my gosh. I already don't like where this is going. It was so embarrassing because I was still a virgin, and yet she and Mary convinced my father that I should do a pregnancy test. Oh, that is so humiliating. After it came negative, she told some of her friends at school, she was a year ahead of me, that I had an abortion.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
We're all probably bullied at some point in our lives, but imagine being bullied by a family member.
Tell me about it.
That is like a whole other level of trauma. The bullying was nonstop. She would do anything to make my life miserable. Once she paid a guy at school to start a rumor that I did a on him during class. This is so messed up. There should be criminal punishment for bullies.
Agreed.
This is harassment and defamation. When I was already going to another school, she told everybody at my school that I left because I was caught stealing at the mall and I was in a youth detention center. She belongs in a youth detention center. My parents had split custody, so I used to spend 1 week with my father and 1 with my mom. After 2 years of hell, I told my father I wouldn't stay at his place anymore, and our relationship was reduced to 2 weekends a month. My relationship to my father was non-existent during college days. He would send me money and call me once every month, and that was it. I went to his house once or 2 times during my 5 years in college. I started dating my fiance, Louis, 4 years ago, and I only introduced him to my father after more than 2 years of the relationship. I'm getting married this spring, and we're going to marry at the beach in another country in Europe. Both of the families are wealthy, and we decided to offer the stay at the hotel to our guests, and they'll pay only their tickets. Ah, yes. And let me guess, your stepsister wants an invite, and I'm assuming a free trip out of it? Because of that, we decided to settle on a small number of guests, around 80, which is probably a lot of money as it is. And of course, Kyla is not one of them. No, because why would you want to look out at the guests at your wedding who are supposed to be some of the people that love you most in life and see someone that literally made your life a living hell? No, definitely not without an apology. The wedding plan started 3 months ago, and my father knew I wasn't going to invite Kyla. However, he flipped out and said that I need to invite her. No, you don't. Did he know about how horrible she was to you? Or did he just choose to ignore it? I said that I'm not going to invite a person that I don't have one single good memory with to such a big day. We've been fighting about that since then. This last week, he told me that I shouldn't count on his money if Kyla isn't invited, and my mom said, fine, I'll pay for everything then. After that, he said he's not coming to the wedding without Kyla, and I replied, fine. Wow, weird that he's prioritizing the daughter that is not biological over his actual daughter. My grandma and aunt are trying to convince me to invite Kyla for the good sake of our family. Absolutely not. No. But to be honest, I'm not even sure if we are a family. Am I the asshole for not inviting a person who bullied me for years for one of the biggest days in my life? All right, my read on this is that it doesn't really seem like your father cared about how you were treated while you lived with him. It's a hard thing to come to terms with the fact that your father doesn't really seem to care about your needs, doesn't seem to care that you're being harassed and abused at school, and also doesn't seem to care that you are owed a freaking gargantuan apology before she can even think about coming to your wedding. Even if it wasn't a wedding that was like a destination wedding where you're paying for everyone. Like, that goes without saying. I wouldn't be paying for anybody that treated me like shit anyway. But when you're getting married, you want to be surrounded by people that love you. You don't want to feel any sort of toxicity or any type of way, because if she treated you like that, like, what's to stop her from doing something horrible to you at your wedding?
Absolutely nothing.
She hasn't proved that she's changed. She hasn't thought about apologizing to you, because that's literally probably could solve a lot of this as an apology, and she hasn't done that. So why do you need to be the bigger person in this scenario? You're not the a-hole. I'm sorry your dad has spent 11 years putting your stepsister ahead of you. My grandma and aunt are trying to convince me to invite Kyla for the good sake of our family. Where was all that concern when you were being tormented to the point where it shattered the family? Did they ever suggest to Kyla, her mother, or your father that she stop her atrocious behavior?
No, let's just pull her out of school.
No, you don't pull her out of school. If you find out that your kid is tormenting another kid, regardless of whether or not it's a family member or whatever, you tell that kid that that is not acceptable. If it's something that's happening behind the scenes, nobody knows about it. If you don't tell an adult or a teacher or whatever and they don't do anything, that's one thing. But if you are aware that your child is bullying another child and you don't do anything about it, you are one of the things that's wrong with this world. I'd be ready to break ties with all of them if they don't stop trying to tell you to fix the family that was broken by Kyla, her mom, and your dad. Literally, again, I just feel like there could have been an apology at any point during these 11 years, and there wasn't. There was no attempt to fix the family until there was a free trip to Europe. And even though they have a free trip to Europe hanging over their heads, they still don't think it's important to apologize for how they treated you. OP responds, my grandma's point is, what will people think about a wedding without your father? They will think, wow, what did that father do to not get invited? That's not embarrassing for you. That's embarrassing for him. My aunt says I might regret that in the future. Life's too short. My father loves me. I understand and miss him. I mean, he didn't really show you very much love. I wouldn't be so sure of that. I'm sorry to tell you this. He doesn't love you. If he did, stepdaughter would have been out of his house to keep a relationship with you. Like literally, why are we prioritizing someone that isn't even our biological child? I understand that they're family, etc. Family by marriage. But like, you're his daughter. He should be putting you first. Best line ever from a therapist in response to someone saying, they loved me, they just didn't know how to show it. Love is an action verb. It's a brutal truth, but a failure to demonstrate caring actions is a failure to love. And that's on period. All right, we have a little more context that's been added. There's a lot of questions about how much everyone knows about the situation. My father was up to everything and he never took it seriously. My grandma lives in another country and I don't know how much she knew at the time, but she knows at some extent now. My aunt knows everything because her daughter is one of my best friends and my bridesmaid. As I pointed out, my family is quite wealthy and they care a lot about family and legacy and those types of things. That doesn't make any sense to me. However, it's very important for them. Well, then they need to tell your father, his wife, and your stepsister to apologize. That's what would fix it. Honestly, at this point, the fact that you don't even know that an apology would solve a lot is very telling. You are not the a-hole, my dear. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister-in-law slash best friend that she overshadowed my wedding? Burner account. I, 29 female, am married to Nate, 29 male, and his sister, Denise, 29 female. We were all childhood friends, and I married Nate almost a year ago. Denise, at the time, was 7 months pregnant with her first child. Her husband is Wayne, 30 male. Not too long after our reception started, Denise went into preterm labor. Girl, tell me that you don't think that your sister-in-law overshadowed your wedding because she went into labor. Her pregnancy up until that point was not high risk, so this was completely out of nowhere and stunned all of us. Probably her too. Can't really choose when you go into labor.
Impossible.
She understandably had to leave with Wayne to the hospital, and most of their side of the family left out of concern. She insisted we stay and have fun, and Lord knows Nate and I tried, but knowing she was in unexpected high-risk labor was at the forefront of our minds, and we made the difficult decision to end the reception about an hour and a half early and joined up at the hospital. I'm sorry that happened at your wedding. Unfortunately, it kind of just seems like circumstances sucked, but I'll let you continue. My nephew, Ben, was born that night, and we were all excited, but I'll admit that Nate and I felt a bit miffed that our wedding was kind of stolen by this event. You can't really steal someone else's wedding when you're going into labor. I don't really think that she planned on that. We kept this to ourselves though. That's probably a good thing, as this was obviously unplanned and it's cruel to put that on Denise and Wayne. But from that point on, nobody ever talked about our marriage, just baby Ben. I'm sorry, what do you expect them to like say? Like they want you to talk about your wedding or how nice it was, or what do you expect the conversation to be about? A little confused about that. The times I think a relative mentioned our wedding can be counted on one hand. It seems a little bit weird that you're expecting people to like just talk about your wedding. It's a little odd. What are you gonna say? Oh my God, I loved your wedding, love that speech. Conversation over. I get it, new additions to the family are ultimately more important, but my wedding day will never just be about my wedding. It'll be about Ben. And whenever he comes up or I see him, I feel bitter because I'm reminded of what happened at the wedding. Girl, you should be so freaking pleased that this happened at your wedding. You should be happy for your sister-in-law and your best friend. Like what the actual Yes, I know I'm jealous of a baby. I feel like for it. Well, I'm glad you can acknowledge that. Nate was like this too for a while, but grew out of it. I'm still working on it. Oh dear. I don't know, man. I think that this is a problem that you're inventing in your head. I think that, like, of course your loved ones are happy for you and your wedding, but there's a baby now. So when you get married, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden, like, everyone else's lives stop and nothing will ever happen to anybody else because you got married. Ben is turning 1 in 2 weeks, and that's all everyone is talking about. Not a peep about our anniversary. I mean, I don't really talk about other couples' anniversaries though. You just like kind of share it on social media. You do something nice for your husband and he does something nice for you. Maybe you go away somewhere, do something romantic and whatever. It's not really about everybody else. Like, it really isn't. It's about you and your relationship. We don't throw anniversary parties for other people. Okay, maybe like a 50th wedding anniversary. We'll throw a big party, you know what I mean? But like, congratulations, you made it to 1 year. No? I already know I'll just be depressed and mopey the whole time, so I asked if Nate could politely tell him I would not be there. He and Denise were pretty upset and demanded to know why. He refused, so she confronted me via text. She told me she's picked up on how I seem sad whenever Ben is mentioned, and said I'm hurting her and I can't tell her why. I decided to be honest and tell her that I've been very depressed, not just for this issue, but is contributing, and that I felt that my wedding was overshadowed by her unexpected labor. Oh dear. Girl, this is not a problem. Like, this is literally something that you're inventing in your head, and like, honestly, you should be happy for your friends when they get pregnant and have children. It doesn't mean your wedding was any less important. Validation from other people should not be what you're worried about. I did tell her I'm not mad at anyone because it was unplanned. I just need to not be reminded of it on my anniversary. So what is she supposed to do? Move her son's birthday so that you can have your anniversary? What the f? Girl, you're being delulu. She did not respond and just blocked me. But Wayne uninvited Nate and told him to keep him and I far away from his family. Nate's confused and I feel like, shit, am I the a-hole? You're kind of a yeah, like you're kind of being really unreasonable. I don't really see why her having a child is such a big problem for you. And you certainly can't expect to have a friendship with a person that you feel this way about. I'm not gonna lie, you are kind of being an a-hole. It's okay to have these feelings. People get jealous. People get like weird about other people overshadowing their successes. It's normal. It's human emotions and they're very complicated and they usually have more to do with us than them. But it doesn't mean that it's okay. It's not okay to tell your best friend that they overshadowed your wedding because she went into unexpected labor. Like, that's kind of mean. She couldn't help the fact that she was in labor. She couldn't help the fact that she was pregnant. Let's see what everybody else had to say. Ben is turning 1 in 2 weeks and that's all everyone is talking about. Not a peep about our anniversary. Well, yeah, that's just how things go. Your anniversary is an important date to you. Literally. But with all due respect, it doesn't even mean much to anyone else. You and your husband are the ones who are supposed to be giving each other attention on your anniversary. Literally. So freaking weird, man. You know that Denise didn't do anything to intentionally steal attention away from you. Neither did that baby. Grow up a bit. You're the a-hole. Yeah, you kind of sound like you're upset. You know, like when little kids get upset that someone else got a present on their birthday and you didn't get anything on their birthday? That's what you sound like right now. Maybe it's different with other families, but I've never known anyone other than the married couple themselves to really celebrate their anniversaries, occasionally their kids at most. I think OP needs therapy. This is not normal or healthy. I agree. To have the expectation that other people are gonna celebrate your anniversary is super weird. Don't go there. You're the a-hole, dude, really? No one's talking about your anniversary? Why would they? Over a child's birthday? I was born on Christmas Eve, so yeah, life ain't all about you. Literally, what are you supposed to do? Who cares? Just like shower love on your husband.
Phrasing.
And he can shower love on you and you can validate each other.
Phrasing.
But don't expect validation from other people because it's your anniversary. You gotta figure out what the hell is really going on here. Why is it that you can't be happy for somebody else? Ask yourself that question because that's what's really going on. The amount of people who seem shocked that nobody else cares about their wedding beyond having fun on the day is astounding, literally. Like, it's a fun party and we'll talk about it, and like if something funny happens or whatever. That's all it is, bestie. That's all it is. Even for their 10th wedding anniversary, they throw a party if they want to party. Literally nobody else cares, and it would be weird if they did. Honestly. People have a huge misconception of how amazing their weddings were. For most guests, it's essentially just a social obligation. I've never discussed a wedding for days or weeks after. Honestly, come to think of it, neither have I. Like, I've said, oh my God, I had so much fun at your wedding, blah, blah, blah. It was so fun, blah, blah, blah. That's it. You don't get a medal. You are being an a-hole, my dear. I say, so does Reddit. Quiet! I'll hold you in contempt. Am I the a-hole for upstaging the bride with an outfit that was approved prior to the wedding? Interesting. This video has a theme, I see. It was my first Western wedding, so I was careful about avoiding any culture gaffe. I'm friends with the groom and asked him for the dress code. It was dressing up to our nines in neutrals and pastels. I had this lovely sari that fit the bill. I sent him a picture and he said, it's perfect. 5 months before the wedding, I met the bride with many of the other groom's friends at a bar. I showed her pictures of the sari to ask if it was appropriate. Okay, pretty. Doesn't really seem white, seems blue, decent. I don't have a problem. I also told her I'd be happy to buy a new outfit if it wasn't. So whatever she says, we'll go. She said it was delightful and she'd be glad to have some culture added to her wedding pictures. Oh my God, so fun. Oh my God, my wedding is gonna be so diverse. Okay. Oh my God, I'm hitting diversity quota with my wedding. The day arrived. Friends stayed in the back for the ceremony, so there weren't many eyes on me. For the reception, the bride changed into a gown that could be best described as grayish white. It was the same fabric as my outfit. Oh no. Sorry, but that's her fault. You showed her. Maybe she copied you. There's a freaking crazy storm going on outside, guys. Holy cannoli. The majority and outer layer of her gown was still white. Only the embroidery was the same color as my sari, and the underneath fabric had a hint of the same gray as mine, thus making it grayish. The groom, his mother, and our friends complimented me for how nice I looked. The groom's mother especially loved it, as she kept coming up to me to compliment me more. She's half Indian and was brought up in the country. She too had worn a sari for the special day, and seeing someone else in it seemed to be sentimental for her. The bride, her bridesmaids though, were a different ballgame. The bride gave me the stink eye. A bridesmaid tried to spill her drink on me. Girl, I feel like she did this on purpose. Like, what the actual like, you showed her what you were gonna wear. Maybe you just look better than her? I don't know. Another commented if my outfit was going to turn out white in the pictures. When we showed up to get group pictures done, I thoughtlessly ended up standing next to the couple. The bride made moves so that I ended up at the very corner, and by the time the photographer started clicking. As we stood in a group for the bouquet throwing thingy, the maid of honor asked if I'm gonna try and catch it, like I haven't gotten enough attention for the day. Oh God. Dude, you asked the groom and the bride prior and said you would wear something else. Why are they surprised that you showed up wearing that? You knew you could have asked her to wear something else. Like, especially if you were wearing something that was similar, like you changed into something that had like a similar color. You didn't think to tell her when she showed you the photo that like it might be a good idea to wear a different color because your second outfit was also that color? It's fishy to me. This is fishy, stinky fishy. On our way back, I asked my friends if my behavior or outfit was inappropriate. They didn't think anything of it. Am I the a-hole? No, you checked in advance and that's the bottom line. She probably was jealous of the fact that the mother of the groom obviously really liked what you wore because, you know, it meant something to her. Her culture and like Indian weddings are probably a big deal for her. And she was happy to see somebody else fill the diversity quota. This is like honestly pretty black and white for me, but let's see what Reddit had to say. Not the a-hole, you just met a school of mean girls. There's no telling what such people will get up to. I think you had taken every possible precaution with your outfit. In fact, much more than most people would have. Literally, you asked in advance. I've never asked a bride if something was appropriate to wear. I haven't really needed to, but to be honest, I guess like if you were wearing something that was a little bit off-white, to me, this looks kind of blue, like a grayish blue, not really super close to white. And even if it is, you asked in advance, okay? OP responds, that's such a cultural shock for me. Hospitality being one of the highest virtues is an idea that's hammered into us as kids. Not even exaggerating, we're taught guests are akin to God. So it was unsettling to have the host and her friends be so obvious with their disdain. That's half the reason I didn't react to any of it. The other half being the cultural commonality of it being inappropriate to get confrontational and create a scene at a wedding. Forget that. Was there any damage to the sari after they tried to ruin it? That is expensive too. Not the a-hole, tell the groom. No, a friend moved me out of the way just in time. A bit of splatter didn't end up on the edge. Nothing a sari specialist dry cleaner can't fix. Imagine looking so damn good in an outfit at a wedding that the bride and her friends are just like obsessed with you. Fan behavior. P.S. Not telling the groom a thing. I don't wish to put him in an awkward position or be the source of drama in a newlywed couple's life. I mean, you're a better woman than me, I'm not gonna lie. Maybe not right away, but it might be a good thing to bring up. You're friends with him, right? It might be a good thing to tell him at some point. You are not the a-hole, my dear. You did everything you were supposed to do, and you look good doing it. Sorry, some people didn't like that. Subscribe!